is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to you with a quick video. I wanted to let you guys know I got some new merchandise available, not just t-shirt anymore. I got different type of t-shirts, different type of shirts and logos that you can purchase on my spread shirt, and also hoodies now. We have expanded and added more to the channel and more merchandise for the brand. Thanks for supporting. It will be in the description and the links will be in the comment section below. Thanks for helping me and supporting the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm going to check out the video. What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to y'all with another video. We gonna talk about the Houston Rockets beating the Golden State Warriors, basically being undefeated against the Warriors this season. And I just see a completely different team when I look at this Rockets team when they play against the Warriors. It seems like they want to beat them. They want to show that they better than them. They want to show that they're hungry, and they're not scared to go at the Warriors. And it's funny seeing that every time I see it, it's always a good game, but it's a good game on both sides of the floor. It's not just a bunch of people taking threes. It's people actually going out there playing better than what they usually play. And the Rockets gets the best out of the Warriors. It's like they're the perfect rivals. They both feel like they the best at what they do. They both shoot a lot of threes, and they both have small ball lineups, and they have the versatility. Kenneth Faried has been a huge addition for them, considering that they just gave up a roster spot just to get him, because honestly, they ain't paying him really anything since he got bought out. And he has played amazing for them, basically being a double-double since he's got there. Even with Clint Capella coming back, he's still getting enough minutes and enough touches that he has the ability to be an X factor in a series against the Warriors, because he is a guy that plays hard and gives a lot of effort and energy, but he can crash the boards. He's starting to space out the floor a little bit better, but he has over 20 games to get that jump shot a lot more better. Remember, in Denver, he wouldn't even really attempt jumpers. Houston already has got him shooting more. And then you just remember Josh Smith. When Josh Smith came to the Rockets, a lot of people was criticizing and throwing dirt on his grave, and he was able to resurrect his career for a little longer, being able to space out and shoot threes. But Kevin McHale allowed him to shoot threes. Kevin McHale allowed him to evolve, and we're starting to see Kenneth Faried add more to his game. And it really has been a good look for him, because he's going out there finishing around the rim. He's getting his rebounds. He's starting to shoot threes, something that he wouldn't even do in Denver. And he's showing that he can still be a productive player given the right amount of minutes in the right situation. And I told you guys that when Kenneth Faried got picked up, he's going to be big for them, because they just need him to stay around that rim, just like Clint Capella. But with their ability to still space out the floor on 4 positions, it fits right for him, because it gives him a one-on-one matchup in the paint. And if they don't pay attention to him, he can always slip to the rim and get dunks and layups and get offensive rebounds, because everybody's getting a lone three or a lone jumper if they're not getting to the paint, which he has specialized in getting and tracking down rebounds. So he fits perfectly. And then Austin Rivers, a guy that a lot of people gave up on too. I told you that would be a good pickup for them because of his ability to handle the ball, and he already played with Chris Paul before with the Clippers, so he already understands what they're trying to do, and he already understands how to back up Chris Paul because he has done it before. He's not having the greatest season, but he has become a quality player for them so far on their team. He had a rocky start with the Wizards. He's starting to come back down to earth since Chris Paul came back, but he's still a quality point guard and a guy that can create his own shot and shoot off the dribble and play make and get shots for other players. Give him another ball handler. Give them another guy that can create offense without James Harden, Chris Paul touching the ball. And he's a guy that can get hot, and he can be a difference in the series for one game or one quarter that can help the Rockets win a game. And that's something that you want, especially since he was a buyout guy and you picking him up for basically a roster spot because you're not even paying him $1 million to come on his team after taxes. And he's playing better than any other backup point guard that they have had this season. And Chris Paul, him finally back. Remember, they was up 3-2 when Chris Paul was healthy. And they're tougher to guard because he can handle the ball and create offense for the whole team. But he's also a guy that can shoot the three off the dribble at an efficient clip He can probe in the paint, get floaters and layups and fadeaway jumpers, but he also can kick out to the shooters like PJ Tucker, like obviously you have James Harden and you have Gerald Green and all and Eric Gordon. Obviously, you have a lot of guys that can feed off him and James Harden because their ability to handle the ball and break down the defense, collapse the defense. Plus, they got Clint Capella and Kenneth Faried eating you up in the inside if you double team or help. They can either kick out to a shooter or dump it off to one of them for a dunk, or they can just always get the three off the dribble, and that makes them a tough cover. But they just match up so well against Golden State, being able to match them basically lineup for lineup. The only thing is that they don't have the big name players, and they're not the most efficient. I think that's going to be the Achilles heel for the Rockets. Can they get enough shots to compete with the Warriors for 7 games? Well, for 4 games, because that's how much you got to use to beat them. But that's the toughest thing to me. And we done seen even without Chris Paul, they went up double digits against the Warriors without Chris Paul last year in the playoffs and just couldn't hit enough shots. And that's the biggest concern. Can they get good quality offense without Chris Paul? Because he has been injury prone. But I think he's the biggest player in the series because his ability to create efficient offense, because he gets easy baskets for himself or teammates, plus he doesn't turn the ball over that much for his entire career. And James Harden can become a turnover-prone guy. We done seen him lose to the Warriors multiple times because he had bad shot selection, took tough shots, and he turned over the ball in critical situations in multiple games through playing against the Warriors. And that's why I like them having a general like Chris Paul that can take the ball out of James Harden's hands, allow him to play off the ball, but allow them to have another dynamic that James Harden has to James Harden or bust. We got to rely so much on James Harden to create our offense that we can't really do anything. And Chris Paul gives you that other guy that can do it. And you can run an offense through him and let James Harden play off the ball and get easy baskets and become a guy that can, one-on-one ISO at the top of the key and get quality shots, whether he's getting a screen or not. So I think this team is tough to beat. They haven't been healthy all season, and they still fifth in the West, and they have a chance to continue to move up if they can win games. But them having Capella back, Eric Gordon back, James Harden has missed a game, but they still look like one of the most unstoppable teams in the NBA. This team is going to be a tough one. I told you guys I feel like the Rockets should finish number 2 in the Western Conference, but they ended up having so many injuries that it's basically impossible for them to do it. But that's how good they are. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think this Rockets team is just so confident and so potent that they can really compete and beat the Warriors? Do you think they can beat the Warriors? Do you think that this is the team that Daryl Morey said that he's obsessed with and he's finding any way they can with Mike D'Antoni to exploit the Warriors? Like, the Warriors are a great defensive team. That game was a good defensive game, honestly and truthfully. But at the same time, I just want to know if the Rockets can get good enough offense for 4 quarters. And we done seen it even last year that they struggled a lot of times getting easy buckets, and they resorted into contested shots, and that helped them lose 2 straight games and not go to the NBA Finals, which they probably would be favored because they was a 65-win team going against um, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they probably could have won it all last year. And that's the saddest part. If you beat 1 4th quarter, you go to the NBA Finals with a chance to win the championship. Now you got to start all over. You got to go all the way through the playoffs just to get back to a chance at a title when you had a legitimate chance. And all you had to do is win 1 quarter out of 2 games, and you would have been in the NBA Finals competing for a championship, and most likely would have won. But it wouldn't be guaranteed. But they would be the favorites in that series with Chris Paul and James Harden and that Mike D'Antoni offense, because Cleveland was a terrible defensive team, and they was damn near the best offensive team last year. But they match up well, with Tucker on Draymond is a mobile, strong guy that can be physical. He always brings his A game defensively against the Warriors, playing in the passing lane, being physical, knocking people off their dribble, getting strips in the paint, and then you also have Clint Capella being able to switch and guard Steph and Clay and make it tough and ugly. for them to get to the paint. So they got to shoot over him, which he's a long 7-footer that can get a good contest out there. And Kevin Durant just ate him alive, but KD does that to everybody. They're going to really have to find somebody that can neutralize KD because they haven't been able to do that when they play against them. But it has not mattered because they was able to still outscore the Warriors at the end of the day. So Kevin Durant is going to be a mismatch for them the entire series if they do play because Eric Gordon has never been known for his defense. Not even James Harden and Chris Paul at this point is too little to even contest any of his shots. Kenneth Faried, he was getting torched by KD because he is a big body, but he's not quick enough to stay with KD. Yes, he's big and physical and he can put some weight on him, but when KD creates the space, he's not quick enough to stay in front of him to contest his jumpers. And Kevin Durant is a tough shot maker anyway, so even if he can't contest like he did that day, he still is getting shredded anyway because KD can still make those shots. Plus, if you do play him for the jump shot, he can just go around you and get to the free throw line or kick out to a shooter or even just dump it off to DeMarcus Cousins for a layup or a dunk. I think DeMarcus Cousins is a big X factor because he can get Clint Capella out the paint because his jump shot, but his jump shot hasn't been falling. The three ball hasn't been falling enough to keep him honest. So they're gonna have to, he's gonna have to develop that as the rest of the season unfolds because the Rock is going to exploit that. They're going to keep Capella in that mid-range, the paint area to anchor the defense and get rebounds so they don't lose like that. But if DeMarcus Cousins can hit those threes and he can hit those mid-range jumpers, they can be tough to beat because Clint Capella can't clog up that paint. Plus, if he switches, it's going to be a mismatch for KD or a mismatch for Clay or a mismatch for DeMarcus because they don't have a solidified three. And remember, PJ Tucker is only 6'6". So KD and Clay and them can shoot over him. Not only that, DeMarcus Cousins can get him in foul trouble because he's bigger and stronger at that center position. So the biggest problem for them is going to have to do is finding a three. They gave up James Ennis. Um, they didn't feel like he can do the job, but now they lack that speed and athleticism that Trevor Ariza or Bahamute brings to the table, but they no longer have that anymore, and that has become a very big hole for them, especially against a team like the Warriors that has 5 All-Star caliber players on the team. But Draymond is also going to have to be more aggressive. He's going to have to look for his shot more because I started seeing that nobody really cares about what Draymond does outside of passing. And if you just leave him open, that puts more guys on Steph and Clay because you're playing off of Draymond, which means you can help on them, making it a lot tougher for them to get jump shots off because you can contest them with 2 guys instead of staying honest with one-on-one. It's easy to guard on one-on-one, but then you realize they're all unguardable one-on-one outside of Draymond. So Draymond is going to have to be more aggressive too if they really want to, if the Warriors really want to make it damn near unguardable for them. Draymond is going to have to be driving like he used to. He's going to have to get that ball in the pick and roll a lot more, and he's going to have to attempt more threes because they're going to give it to him anyway. But if they're going to give it to him in the late in the shot clock, Draymond has to be willing to take that shot, especially in that series because it do matter. Like I said, they leave PJ Tucker open all the time, and he was torching them that game because of that. And that's the same thing Draymond Green is going to have to do too against the Rockets. So there's a lot of things that goes on. There's a lot of X's and O's going on. Mike D'Antoni is a great coach when it comes to offense, but his team just play harder and they just want it more when they play the Warriors. And they bring it. Like that game was a defensive exhibition. It was tight. It was ugly. But, you know, the Rockets was able to get good shots and knock them down in the fourth quarter when they had the lead. And they never really let it go since. So I just want to see how they're going to match up against DeMarcus if he's hitting his shot, how they're going to match up against KD because they don't really have nobody that can really contest or guard his shots right now, which could be a huge disadvantage in the playoffs. And will Eric Gordon be able to knock down shots? He's been off and on the whole season. I want to know how he's going to be when the playoffs start because he has really been shaky at best this entire season. And can Chris Paul stay healthy? He's been injured and missed a lot of games the last 4 or 5 seasons. Not 1 season, not 2 seasons, 4 or 5 seasons. Can he stay healthy going into the playoffs, and can he stay healthy through the playoffs? That's going to be the biggest key. Can their best offensive creator, efficient-wise, can he stay healthy against the next 20 3 games that they have, and can he stay healthy throughout the whole playoffs? Remember, even when he was with the Clippers, he got injured multiple times, and even last year with the Rockets, he got injured, and that really hurted their chance of winning the championship because they needed him. And it showed in game 6 and 7 when they couldn't really create shots in the fourth quarter and get good looks. And that's something that Chris Paul did last game, showing how valuable he is to this team because James Harden does need help just like every other player, especially if you don't have another guy that can orchestrate the offense. All you got to do is double team and trap and get the ball out of James Harden's hands. And if that happens, you need somebody else to be able to create a shot or knock down shots. And that's what Chris Paul does. That's why he's so important to this team, and that's why they gave him so much money because they don't have anybody else that can really do what Chris Paul do while still being able to knock down threes efficiently, mid-range offensively, plus be an elite playmaker, whether it's in the pick and roll or in isolation. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like on Facebook to show support. Thanks for the people liking on Facebook. Check out my older videos. My playlists will be on my channel. I do breakdowns, buyouts, NBA draft, summer league coverage. I also do discussions just like this. I also talk about the hottest topics, whether it's trades or buyouts. I enjoy making these videos. You guys enjoy watching. That's why I continue to go. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm gone. And let me know what you guys think. Is the Thunder the biggest competition? Is it Denver? Is we sleeping on Denver because nobody really brings them up when they talk about competition against the Warriors? Or is the Rockets just not healthy, couldn't get it together, and now that they're getting it together, getting healthy, they're just going to become the number 1 contender again? Or is it another team that nobody really notices outside of Denver, Houston, and OKC? Let me know in the comment section below.